Hey guys, Stephen Cox here, and today we're going to learn a lot about 16th notes. So if you like videos like these, please hit subscribe below, and we're going to jump right into it. This is what I like to call 16th note boot camp. So first, we need to be able to play them at a certain tempo and count at that tempo as well. And from there, we'll learn different variations of rhythms you can create with 16th notes, and we'll learn how to recognize those when you're reading them. So first, let's learn how to count 16th notes. So if you remember quarter notes from previous lessons, they're going to be counted as 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when we get into eighth notes, we're going to cut that in half and go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If this is new to you, you may want to check out the rhythm part of my bass ukulele course up here. So we started with quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, then split them in half to do eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we've got to split those in half to create 16th notes, and we count them 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. So slowed down, that's 1, like just the number, E, like the letter E, and, just the word and then which I usually represent with a letter A. Like if you're talking about a bass guitar, you'd say Some people would say A. We're going to say 1E and 2E and So practice counting that with me. I'm going to count you in, and then we're going to count the 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. If this sounds like a mouthful to you and this is a little bit tricky, try going a little bit slower. We'll go like 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So if you can count at that speed, then that's pretty good, but we want to be able to do 16th notes at 60 beats per minute, or there's not really a reason to be jumping into this. So this is what it sounds like to count them at 60 beats per minute. So that's our metronome. So if we just have our quarter notes, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then our eighth notes would sound like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now we're going to try our 16th notes, which would be this speed. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. If that's hard for you to count at this speed, then I recommend just practicing this a little bit. But the more important thing is to be able to play at this speed. So now let's try just playing 16th notes at this speed. We'll start with quarter notes, then we'll go to eighth notes, and then we'll go to 16th notes. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4 eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 16th notes. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and again 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. All right, that was good. So you want to be able to play those pretty evenly, and you want to be able to count and play them. So this time, let's try just jumping into 16th notes. I'm going to give you a count off that uses 16th notes, and then the second time around, just come in with me, and we're going to count and play these. Here we go. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. So if you can play 16th notes like this at full speed, then I think we're ready to count them. If not, I recommend just pausing this video and working on just that aspect of it. And in order to do that, if you're struggling with it, here's a little tip. You're going to need to alternate your fingers when you're plucking. And you might be like, well, I can actually move one finger that fast, but let's go ahead and get into the habit of alternating our fingers because we will be playing at faster tempos eventually. So now that we can play and count 16th notes, we're going to play just one per beat. So that means we have 4 16th notes in a beat, 1 E and We're just going to play one of those, and we're going to start with the easiest one, which is just where the numbers are. So this would be like just the first 16th note, and then we're going to mute the string after we play it so that it doesn't ring out for the rest of the piece. So if we're counting 1 E and A, basically what I'm saying is you're going to hit the A string on beat 1, and then you're going to be silent for the E and A. Then you'll hit it again on 2 and be silent for the E and A. Hit it again on 3, be silent for E and A, and the same thing with beat 4. So this will sound like this: 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. And notice that the notes are only as long as the number going to the next thing. So as soon as I say E, I've already muted the string. Let's try that together. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to go with the second easiest one to hit, and that is going to be the ands. So we're already used to eighth notes a little bit, so this won't be too bad. So we're going to do this: 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. And that's what it looks like. So the rhythm on the screen is how this looks on paper. Real quick, I'm going to address that. In the first exercise, when you're just hitting the numbers, you notice that right underneath the number 1, there was a symbol with a circle with a filled-in ball with the stem sticking out with 2 flags hanging down. That's what a 16th note looks like by itself. Then the next thing you see is going to be a little thing that looks almost like a number 7 with an extra little thing underneath it. So it kind of looks like a backwards F or something. Anyway, it's underneath the E in parentheses on that first exercise. That is a 16th rest, which means you're going to be silent for exactly one of those 4 pieces of a beat. So just for the E, you're silent. Okay, next to that one, you're going to see something that looks more like a number 7. And it looks similar to the thing we just talked about, to that 16th rest, but it doesn't have 2 things sticking out of it, it just has 1. That's an 8th rest. That means we're going to be silent for 2 pieces when you see that one. So here it's the and the We're going to be quiet for both of those. That's what an 8th rest looks like, and then a 16th rest was the one that I described before that. So now that we know that, that's why it looks this way on the piece of paper. So now let's go on to exercise 2. You'll notice that it has the 8th rest first, and if you look above it, the 1 and the E are in parentheses, which means we're going to be silent for 1 E. And then we're going to play on the and. So that would be like 1 E and. And then we're quiet on the as you can see there's a 16th rest after the 16th note. So we've got 1 E and Work on this one with me. If you notice, it's the same thing throughout all the beats. We're just hitting the ands. So that'll sound like this: 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Let's try playing that together. 1, 2, 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So how many of you were tempted to play on beat 1 or to play on the numbers? This is something called syncopation, where we're hiding that beat, which as bass players we're used to playing on the downbeats, which would be like the numbers here. So this is a little bit tricky. It's going to get a little bit trickier from here. You might be like, why did I skip over just playing the E's and jump straight over to the and? That's because it's just a tiny bit easier. So now we're going to play the 16th notes that are between the numbers and the ands, between those 8th notes, and that's where it starts to get a little bit weirder, right? So the next exercise is going to be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. We're hitting the note, which is our open A string, when we're saying E. Let's try that together. 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Was that a lot more challenging? Be honest, let me know in the comments below. And now let's try the 4th exercise on here of these single note variations. This one we're going to be hitting the Us. So that means we're going to be waiting 1 E and So every time we say we're going to hit our open A string, and then we're going to silence it after that. Let me play it for you, and then we'll jump in and play it together. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, here we go. 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and So does that make sense? This is why it's really important for us to be able to count these so that we can play them based off of reading the rhythms on paper, but also it helps us to process rhythms when we just listen to them as well. All right, so now we're on to 2-note groupings. So this is going to be 2 16th notes within those 4 that we have per beat. So out of 1 E and 2 of them will be played. Now I'm going to notate these 2 different ways. One of them is if we cut both the notes short, and the other way is one of the notes might be held out longer and then the other one will be cut short. Or in some cases, both of them will be held out longer. So this is just so we can recognize that they're still, the hits are in the same place, but it's just a matter of how long are we holding the note out for. So if you look at the first exercise in this group, we have 1 E, and then we're resting on the anda. 1 E and 2 E and. But then on the second half of it, we're not resting at all. We're just going to be holding the second note out, even though we're still hitting on the 1 and the E. We're just going to hold the second note out for the and. So that'll be 3 E and 4 E and. And sometimes people will notate it this way for drummers or for other instruments, and it's not really so important about the note being held out. It's just another way that you might see these written. One thing to notice about the way the notes are written, the first 2 notes are 16th notes written here. They have the little circle with the line sticking out, and then they have 2 things coming off them. But notice that instead of having it as a flag where it hangs down, they're connected over to each other. So sometimes when you see 16th notes in groupings, you'll see them connected over like this rather than separate, but both of those are 16th notes because they both have the double line coming out of them. Now you notice on the second half of the measure that one of them has the second line coming out and the other one doesn't. That's because the other one is actually an 8th note, and in this case a dotted 8th note, which a dotted 8th note gets 3 16th notes worth of duration. So that's why you do play the E, but you hold it out for the anda. So I know that's something we haven't talked about yet, but that's how that's written, just so that you know. So we're going to hit 3E and then hold that note out for the anda. So that would be like 3E and 4E and for the second half of that measure. So let me play this for you and then we'll jump in and play it together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. So notice how I held the note out. You don't have to count it differently like I am. I'm just demonstrating that I'm holding the note out there. So if I do this without counting, it'll sound like this. But notice that the hits are in the same place. I'm still hitting the note on 1 and hitting the note on the E after. So I'm hitting on the number and the E. So let's do this one together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Great. So if you're doing good on this one, congratulate yourself because this is not easy, right? It gets a little bit harder from here, but not too much harder. All right, so our next exercise, we're going to be playing the 1 and the and. This one's actually easier because the long version of this is just straight 8th notes. So the only difference is kind of like, almost like we're playing staccato 8th notes for the first half of it, even though we're really playing a 16th note followed by a 16th note rest, another 16th note followed by a 16th note rest. And look at the way that these are written. Notice how the rest can still be underneath the grouping and the 16th notes can still be beamed together over it. Kind of interesting, but that just means there's a 16th note, then a 16th note rest, and then another 16th note. So if you look at the counting, the stuff in parentheses is what we aren't playing, and then unless it has like a dash next to it, those dashes mean we're holding it out. So if that wasn't clear in the other exercise, hopefully it is now. Okay, So this is what this exercise sounds like. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so notice on the second half of it I'm holding the notes out and not stopping them short. So let me play it without counting so you get an idea. But that way you can see the way those two different rhythms are written. And notice I'm still hitting on the same part of the beat. I'm still hitting on the one and the and, or the number followed by the and, rather. It's just I'm leaving space if there are rests in between. So let's play this exercise together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and all right, now let's go to the next one. So this one's a little bit harder. We're going to play the first 16th note. We're going to rest for an 8th note in the middle, which remember that 8th rest is 2 16th notes in duration. So you can see the way it's written. The E and the and are in parentheses. So we're going to hit the 1 and we're going to hit the at the end. So the first two are short, where basically there's a rest in the middle of them. And then when we get to beat 3, we're going to be holding out the first note for the duration of 3 16th notes, because that's a dotted 8th note, followed by a single 16th at the end. So that's a lot of words. I'm going to demonstrate it so that it makes a little bit more sense. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So once again, without me talking while I'm playing it. 3E and 4E and all right, let's try this one together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So far we've been hitting beat 1 on all of these groupings of 2, but now we've got some other ones where we skip over beat 1. So the first way to do this is probably the easiest of these syncopations, is we're just going to play the and on each beat. And on this one, I didn't bother writing a long and a short version because we'd have to use an extra thing where we're tying a note from one beat to the other, and I didn't feel like that was really necessary on this particular lesson. But there is a long version of this if you wanted to. We're just not doing it today. So this is what this one sounds like. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so let's try doing that 2 times. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so how hard was it for you to not hit beat 1 on this one? Once again, this is syncopation. It's a little bit tricky. It's going to get a little bit more syncopated from here, so hold on. So this next one, we're going to play the E and the and, but we're going to be silent on the 1 and the And then there is a longer version of this one as well, so you can kind of see that written in. It's a little bit weird looking, but just bear with me on this one, okay? So here's what it sounds like. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and let's try it together 2 times. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so that one's kind of confusing because we still have to be silent on the number of the beat, but we are holding the notes out through the after beat 3 and after beat 4. So now let's move on to the last of the 2-note groupings. So this one is playing on just the E and the So this one's a little bit trickier because we aren't playing the numbers or the ands. So that's going to sound like this. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and Notice how weird it is to hold out those notes after being silent. So as you try to play through this, just know this is the most syncopated of the 2-note groupings. This one will probably be the hardest. All right, let's play this together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and that's it for the 2-note groupings. All right, so now we have the 3-note groupings. So the first 3-note grouping, we're going to play 1E and rest on the or hold it out for the second half of the measure. So look at what they look like and try to recognize these little things almost like they're words so that you can recognize these rhythms when you see them on a piece of paper. This one will be 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so let's try playing this one together 2 times. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and all right, so notice that each one of these things, if you look at the whole beat, 1E and look at how these things differ. Treat them almost like they're words. So if you can learn to recognize these words and know what this rhythm sounds like, you may not have to count it as like in depth as we're doing right now. So the point of going through this boot camp is so that later on you can just recognize these rhythms and you don't have to think this hard. So now let's go on to the second exercise of the 3-note groupings. This one is going to sound like this. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So this one's not too bad as well, kind of like the first 3-note grouping. It's basically an 8th note followed by 2 16th notes for the second half, or we're playing a 16th note on beat 1, we're not playing on the E, then we're playing the and we are playing the as well. 1E and or the long version, 1E and So let's play this variation 2 times in a row. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and I'm gonna play it 1 time without me counting just so that you can hear what that's like as well. All right, so the next variation, we're going to be playing 1E, resting on the and playing the That'll sound like 1E and So if we play that in the long version, the middle note will be the long note. So it'll be a 16th note followed by an 8th note followed by a 16th note. That'll sound like this. 3E and 4E and So let me just play one of them. It'll sound like short, long, short. If you look at the second half of the measure, you'll see that it looks like a 16th note where the second line is just short and it's not attached to the middle note. And that's because the middle note is an 8th note and there's a 16th note on the end. So you get 3E, then you're holding out through the and then we're playing the 3E and Let me play this and then we'll play this together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and I'm going to play it one more time without counting while playing just so you get the idea. So now let's play this one 2 times in a row together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and now let's go to the last variation that we have for these 3-note groupings. This one is just syncopating, which means we're going to hide beat 1 and we are going to play E and There's not really a long version of this one. We're just going to have the short version 4 times. So this one sounds like this. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and without me counting, 3E and 4E and 1. All right, let's play this one together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So now that we've got all these rhythms separate, we're going to try to string different ones of them, different words like I was alluding to earlier, and we're going to put them all back to back. So This first exercise is going to be a little bit tricky, but let me play through it so that you get an idea of what it sounds like. I'll count and play it, and then it'll be your turn to join me, and we'll play it together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and let's do it together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and All right, here's the second one. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and let's play it together. A little bit slower. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and All right, let's move on to the third exercise in this section. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So let's play that one together. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and here's the fourth one. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and So let's do that one together slowly. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and All right, now just for fun, as a challenge, let's try playing all four of those exercises back to back as if they were just one continuous thing. I'm going to play it through first, and then we'll try to play it together. If you're wanting the challenge of playing it a little bit faster, then you can always rewind the video and play along with me after you've done the slower version. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 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 3E and 4E and All right, let's do that a little bit slower. 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 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 3E and 4E and This is pretty challenging at this point, right? You've done a good job getting all the way through this lesson. I hope that you've learned something about how to count 16th notes and what the different rhythms that you can make with them look like. So if you found this really challenging, don't worry about it. This is a hard skill to master. So just take your time, practice with the counting above each measure, and then figure out what those things look like. And eventually they might turn into what I call little words that you can use to make musical phrases. So this will help you a lot if you're trying to learn how to sight read, because if you can read the rhythms really well, then you can focus on the notes. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and you may need to go slower than the pace I did in this video. So that's what the metronome is for. Basically, we want to be able to play 16th notes at around 60 beats per minute before we start and be able to count them that way as well. But when we're doing these complicated exercises, we can go much slower than that to get used to this new counting where we're not playing certain ones and are playing others. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one.